What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode 20 of Lyon Live here in FM19. Hopefully you guys are good. The reason I'm starting on this screen is basically today we are starting the beginning, I guess, of the end of the season. Last episode we wrapped up the league games and such. Today we go into the nitty-gritty summer. So if you've missed the last few episodes, do go catch it before you watch this one. This one will have a ton of spoilers, in terms of league performance, future transfer ideas I've got going on, and I genuinely feel like it's just worth catching up on the series if you have fallen a little bit behind. But yes, welcome back. It's obviously episode 20, and I'm sat here not entirely sure what we're going to talk about today because obviously Lyon Live is a brand new format, something that I've never done before. And never in my life have I ever sat down at the end of May and recorded a video that wasn't just an end of season recap. But obviously you've seen the entire season and we kind of recapped a little bit of the results and such last year. I'm sure when we get, to team awards and such, we'll have a look through things there. But just kind of generally speaking, it's kind of going to be fairly chilled out and laid back today. I will say, first and foremost, I really hope you guys have been enjoying this series. The response has been honestly just overwhelming. There's lots of new subscribers. Obviously, there's lots of you guys returning who have been watching this regularly. I can't thank you enough for your support, in all honesty. It's been crazy. To put things in perspective, we started this series about almost 3 weeks ago now, I guess, at the time of you seeing this. And in the last 3 weeks, we have had more new people subscribe to the channel than in January and February combined. People are finding the videos, and obviously a lot of you guys have come back and started watching this. Maybe you didn't quite click with previous series, and I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Obviously, when I started this series, it was just inherently a bit of a risk to do a completely new format of videos. Obviously, lots of people kind of do the recap format, I guess, with Football Manager every few months. It's a format that I definitely think has its place, and I have no doubt we will come back to it at some point in the future. But, the reality kind of just is that I wanted to try something a little bit different, and I think it's been pretty successful. Now, do I think this is going to replace, other formats longer term? I don't think so necessarily. But in terms of just doing something different and having a lot of fun doing it as well, I can't kind of put into words just how much I'm enjoying this series, just playing at my own pace, talking about stuff I don't normally talk about. It really has reinvigorated me to kind of get back into the swing of things. And obviously part of that is the fact I'm just clicking with the save game. Part of that as well, it's just been the support. So many of you guys just seem genuinely really excited for the next upload, and that really does mean a lot to me. Anyway, you can see here, Champions League, Tottenham have won 2-0 against Manchester United in extra time. So Spurs, they've won the Champions League first season. That's pretty good for them, I guess. We have received a fair wad of money there for Champions League play. Underachievers were Real Madrid, who got knocked out by Napoli. You can see Salah with the highest average rating. My biased Liverpool self is very, very happy, and they're a bit smug to see Salah up there. But anyway, we're going to have the awards, I imagine, coming in thick and fast to end the season. Obviously, we're going to start delving into the transfer market again. I touched upon it a little bit last episode, but actually, we've got a few new players that we're signing here and there, and we've got quite a young team. And I feel like if we are going to invest into the team, it's probably going to be at the expense, I guess, of selling some players on. I saw a lot of people in the comments kind of over the course of the year talking about the fact that I didn't really make any big, massive impact signings. And the reality was that I didn't feel like we needed them. I'd argue that Wallace was that player for us, although obviously when you look at the transfer history here, we have spent 71 million, a big net spend, but without a massive wage rise. But the vast majority of these players have been younger players for the future. With the squad size has inevitably just expanded massively. But so much of it is just investing in youth that I'm hoping will either, lock down and will become regular first-team players for us, or we can sell on for a profit down the line. Because ultimately, we are a club that like to wheel and deal. We are a team who like to bring in players for relatively cheap and then move them on for money. It's kind of the Lyon way, as much as I don't really want it to be that way. We want to develop our own talent and then bed it in through the first team. And I want to believe that whilst, yes, we have signed a lot of players, a lot of them are kind of following that philosophy. Perhaps in real life, Lyon, don't quite sign as many kind of 20-year-olds. It tends to be more at a, younger level. But I feel like when you look at our squad as a whole, Just loads of players in their low-end 20s to be very excited about. And actually, the players we brought in have gone up in value. You look at St. Maximin, brought in for 10 million, now worth 22. You look at Kanate, actually, he's not a good example. So we'll ignore Kanate. But yeah, you can just see, just generally speaking, there's just players whose values have gone up. Wallace, we brought in for, I want to say 14 million. Yeah, 14 million pounds. He's now valued at 30 million, and he looks just like a fantastic centre-back. And that's kind of just the way we've got to operate here. But in the first year, I was kind of so happy with the first team. And because we had the short pre-season, I didn't want to go out there and sign, 3 or 4 kind of star players. I really wanted to give a chance to the young squad that we already had and just add to, more of the same, really. And that's what we've done. Okay, this guy has a very pixelated picture of my face back. That is terrifying. But no, it's kind of more of the same. So going into this summer, I'm kind of braced for the fact that we might lose a few players like Bertrand Traoré, like Depay, potentially even Fekir, even though I really don't want to sell him. But I've kind of mentally prepared for that at the same time. We kind of knew it was coming, so it's not going to be this massive shock. If we were to get, say, a £60 million offer, I probably would have to take it. I did notice a news item come through about Real Madrid being interested in Fekir. We'll have to wait and see, if they can match, I guess, our valuation of him. Current valuation of at 150 million. That might actually be putting teams off going in for him. I think more realistically, anything above 70 million, I'd have to strongly consider. Part of me wants to offer him out to clubs, but that could backfire spectacularly. Transfer window has just opened, so we will brace ourselves for offers to come flying in. I'm also thinking about Joseph Martinez. Now, I promised I wasn't going to sell him, but I kind of want to sell him at the same time. I'm going to change his squad status to backup. He's been very underwhelming. Maybe he's the kind of player we stick with and he's just good, next year. Anyway, we've got a few players here with loan offers for them. Cornet, a loan offer from Bordeaux. Cornet is an interesting one because I don't think he's a bad player, but he just didn't really perform when he played for us. But at the same time, I feel like selling him for his current value would probably be selling him short. So I'd much rather loan him to a club who pay for his wages. Hopefully we can find someone who would agree to pay for his wages. And then hopefully he can develop as a result of that. You can see Maxi here. A few loan offers for him. He's a player with a lot of potential. Mets have offered to loan him in. Where are Mets in Ligue 2? They had a really poor season. Really, really poor. I like the fact they've got this random Argentine who looks pretty good. Never heard of you. Poblete. It's a great name as well. See, he could be an interesting team for them to go to. What are their facilities like? Excellent youth facilities, good training facilities, above average youth recruitment. That literally doesn't matter. Why am I reading that out? The other option is Havre, which is definitely not how you say their name, but we're going to go with it. They finished 7th. Their media prediction was 5th. They've got pretty good facilities as well, looking at it there. A loan could be good for him. I think a loan probably is the right move at this point, so we'll accept both these offers. He is also, if I'm not mistaken, already homegrown at club. Yeah, he is. So, obviously with the homegrown status thing, I don't really want to move players on at the risk of them, not getting homegrown status. I assume it works the same as in kind of other European countries where it's 3 years consecutively playing for the same club to get homegrown at club. It's kind of annoying when you have a 20-year-old who spent 2 years at the club who wants to go out on loan because that can interfere. But anyway, you can see here, commercial stuff, yada, yada, yada. We have a new continental competition sponsor valued at £35 million. It was previously at 3.6 million. So that's a massive, massive increase. In terms of top shirt sales, Traoré, Fekir, Dembele, Memphis. The concerning thing is that 3 out of the top 4 I could end up selling this summer depending on if the right offers come in. We'll wait and see, I guess. Nantes have made an inquiry about Kenny Lala. See, I kind of like Lala as a backup who can play both full-back positions. We brought him in for £3.2 million and he played very well. I want to say £6.5 million. They did not want to pay for that. Manager of the Year shortlist has been announced. We are on the shortlist. Can I vote for myself? No. Well, I don't want to vote for my opposition. Although I don't know if now that vote goes to my assistant, but I don't want to vote for my opposition. If I could vote for myself, I would have voted in it, but I'm not giving a rival one of my votes. It's not how I roll. I'm out for myself in this world. But anyway, we're into mid-June. We've already actually done 2 weeks this episode. As I said, the next few episodes, I'm not sure how they're going to be in terms of what the length of them's going to be, how long it's going to take for us to get through the preseason. I think a lot of it's going to come down to how much transfer business we end up doing. We'll wait and see. We'll play it by ear. Obviously, we have loads and loads of players loaded, but then only the French League loaded. So fortunately for us, we advance fairly quickly. You might have noticed the processing times really haven't been that bad. Anyway, Lucas Romero has picked up his first international cap for Argentina. That is massive. That's a really great achievement for him. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you. He's loving it. And Wallace has played for his nation. I mean, that was one that I was expecting to see earlier on in the year. He's just been top notch for us at centre-back. So great to see him break into the national team setup for Brazil. I feel like that will not be his last cap at centre-back, just given how good he's been for us this year. He really has been just a standout player for us. Anyway, I'm thinking about if I want to start looking into players on the transfer market, who might be available. I probably should be at some point. You can see Brest and Bordeaux interested in our players. Marin, I'm kind of more likely to loan out. It looks like Brest got promoted this year. They won the league. So he would be playing in our division next year. So that would actually be a really good loan for him. If they give him first team football, which they will. And they'll cover all of his wages. I like that one. For Trincao here, I kind of just want to keep him at the club. I think he could be a very useful squad player. So we are going to reject that loan offer. DJ loan offer from Havre. No, not interested. I think DJ might have a role to play at the team next year, especially if Martinez goes, if we can sell him without upsetting him. Werner's had an offer of £25 million put in for him. I mean, Werner's good, but is he a £25 million player? I mean, he probably is in FM terms. Just got crazy pace. I actually feel like he's a little underrated. I've not seen him in the January update if he's improved much in terms of his rating. Right, do I want to offer out Fekir and just see if anyone nibbles? I think I do. I'm hoping he's not going to kick up a fuss about this. I'm also going to do the same with Traore. And I'm going to just offer him out for 85 million. Just see if we get any nibbles. Go fishing. And I'm going to do the same with Depay. Now, this could backfire spectacularly, and they could all kick up a massive fuss feeling like they're being forced out of the club. They would not be wrong to feel like that. But we're not transfer listing them here. We're just offering them out. Okay, Traore said he's unhappy. Toussaint, have a word with him, mate. Have a word with him. Oh, look at that. I love you, Toussaint. The fact that we've got some highly influential players in our team who are very, very young and players who I think are going to be long-term players at the club, like Toussaint, like Tete, like Ndombele, like Dembele. These are younger players. The fact that I can get Toussaint at 22 years old talking Bertrand Traore out of a potential kind of unhappy kind of ness and trying to force a move is just very, very useful. Anyway, you can see here Karim Felhi. I feel like he deserves a nickname. But he has joined us. Of course, we agreed to sign him last episode. I really like the look of this guy. Definitely one for the future. He's going to be in the reserve team, but I'm also going to make him available for the under-19s on an ongoing basis. The Kier offer from Arsenal, 59 million. It's not. That's an awful offer for Lalo. We don't even need to consider that. That's not a great offer, is it? 60 million for Fekir, but lots of clauses in there. I'm unconvinced. I feel like we're due a better offer. I say that Arsenal haven't put in a bid that was of his value. Lala had a bid of like £2.7 million for him. I'm not going to sell on this player for a loss. Yes, he's a backup player for us, but when we called upon him, he was top draw this season. When we had issues with injuries and such, he was there to step up and be counted. But yeah, we could end up in a few different transfer sagas, I feel like, with this. We'll have to see how this summer plays out. A lot of our transfer business, I think, is going to be determined by, what offers we get for players. Last episode, I asked some of you guys, how much would you say that we have to have bidding-wise, on players to let them go? And I think 60 million was the general consensus for Bertrand Traore, a little less for Depay and a little more for Fekir. I think there was lots of different opinions, to be fair, but I've got my own kind of values in my head. Whether or not those values are going to be matched remains to be seen. Riyad Mahrez is unhappy at Man City. I mean, I'd be tempted for him, except from the fact he's on 200 grand a week. Oscar's trying to force a move as well from China, but he's on 400 grand a week. Somehow I feel like he's going to struggle to get a move away from them. But we'll keep an eye on him. If he was willing to take a massive wage cut, I could be tempted. Someone like Oliver here could be a pretty okay replacement for Fekir if we had to move Fekir on. Obviously, we've already got Awar, who can definitely be a replacement longer term. We might not necessarily have the immediate replacement. That would be my only concern there. I mean, actually, if we just do a direct comparison, I'm now curious. Fekir and Awar here, I mean, you can see they're not worlds apart. Yes, Fekir is significantly better, but in terms of give Awar a year or two, I think he will be on a not dissimilar level to Fekir. I mean, of course, with a lot of our big names like Fekir, whilst I don't know if we can necessarily hold on to them longer term, we don't have any reason to sell them this year. You actually look at players with contracts expiring. We've got Ferry and Jorgelin with contracts running out next year. Jorgelin, we should probably get on a new contract if we can. He does want one. He was kicking up a fuss about wanting to leave a week ago before we got Lopez to talk to him. Also, Ferry still looking to force a move. He's unhappy at the club, so we should probably just try and get some money for him if we can, even if it's not a great amount. Would also free up some wages. Marin contract situation is an interesting one, but we can just trigger the optional extension. He's improving a lot. I feel like a loan spell next year could be very beneficial for him. Depay's contract's also up in 2 years, as is Cornet's. Is anyone interested in Memphis since we offered him out? That's probably worth checking. Yes, Juventus are interested. I mean, that's a relatively good sign because they have money and we need money. Nice have made an offer for Ferry. 1.9 million, £5,000 of his wages next week. Oh, well, that's dumb. I've triggered an extension in Marin's contract and that has cancelled the loan move that was organised. I mean, that feels dumb, doesn't it? Let's just offer him out and see if anyone wants to come in. Looking for him to be played as a first-team player next year, preferably at a team with good facilities and a decent league position this year within our own league. But I might look elsewhere. Jordan Ferry, is £1.9 million worth having for the extra wages we've got to sell? Probably not. I'd rather just wash my hands of him. I say that in the nicest possible way. I'd rather not have to worry about paying his wages, so we'll remove and exclude that. Ferry have come in. Nice have come in and bid on him. Marin has had a few offers. Brest have come in with the same offer they did last time. Let's have a look at this. I mean, I was quite keen to loan them to him, but they really want him to be a rotation now, whereas I want him to be a first-team regular, preferably in our own division. Dijon are willing to offer him that. No one else is. Hopefully they stick to their promise. We'll reject all the other unresponded offers. Dijon, I don't think, have done too bad. They've not got the craziest training facilities, but they had an okay year in 10th. I feel like that wouldn't be a bad loan move at all. Ferry's unhappy about the fact he wasn't allowed to leave. We'll get Toussaint to talk with him. It hasn't worked this time, but we have just accepted a bid. The finances weren't right. I'll accept it if they put another bid in. I've actually told him that I'll accept a bid of 3.5 million. He's already moving to them for 1.8. I'm doing them a very kind of kind deal, I feel like. I'm being a bit nice. Maybe I should need to be harder nosed with Nice when it comes to the negotiations. Just wonder if there's any other good transfer listed players here on not crazy wages. See, someone like El Neni could be interesting, but we don't really need another defensive player. Rojo would be good if he wasn't so injury prone. We don't need another centre-back, Jack. Stop looking at Chambers. Rafinha would be interesting if he wasn't so injury-prone. It's almost a bit of a shame that he is. I guess there's no harm in getting more scout reports on just a lot of these players kind of in and around our level who are transfer listed. There might be a few gems in the rough, hidden away here. Of course, we've already got Gnanon joining us at the end of the year. I really like him as a kind of backup centre-back. There probably is other players here who would be pretty good. Someone like Llorente, who's only 24. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I thought he was a little bit better than he is here. But he still looks okay, Llorente. If you were looking for a deep line playmaker, he'd be pretty ideal. But He's just not quite well-rounded enough for our system. We play quite a demanding, well-rounded system. And Kudu could be an interesting option, potentially as an inside forward on the left. We might as well get a scout report on him and just see what's being said. Barini as well. His transfer listed. Barini is awful in Football Manager. Jeez, don't even need to look at him. I still kind of want to go in for Lenglet, despite how unhappy he is. They've actually lowered the asking price as well. 8.5 million is suddenly a little more tempting. We'll see if the scouts, throw up any more recommendations based off those players. Lenglet, I mean, he's lowered his wage demand since we last talked to him, but I do need him to lower them further, really, and also no yearly wage rise. I feel like I'd go as high as 50k for him. I do think he's worth 50k as well, for the record. What are you doing this, Lenglet? Okay, 52k. So, I know I've signed a lot of centre-backs. I talked about it a little bit last episode, but actually, realistically speaking, we are in a world where I would probably like to loan out Kanate to a team in that division to get him first-team experience. The same with Markovic here. So that would leave us with Marcelo, who is ageing a little bit at 32, and I want to phase out the team. Wallace, who I think would probably play alongside Lenglet. Monte, and then Denea. So really we'd have Denea, Monte as kind of backups, then Marcelo, Wallace, and then potentially Lenglet as kind of our first choice centre-backs. Of course, Marcelo is 32. He's not going to be able to play every game. And that would free up the ability to then loan out players like Kanate, who they do need first-team football. Him and Markovic especially, I think they're going to benefit from loans out to, go and get regular first-team football. We'll see if we can get him. I do think Lenglet would be a great pickup. Of course, he's a Frenchman as well, which is an added bonus, but he's not too dissimilar to Wallace. If we just compare the two, you can see here he's a little bit more technically gifted than Wallace, perhaps a little bit quicker and a little bit mentally switched on, whereas Wallace is a bit more of a wall at the back. But as a pairing, I think they could be pretty complementary for each other. Anyway, Lopez has picked up Best Goalkeeper as a 7.01 average rating. I feel like if your goalkeeper gets above a 7 rating, he's doing something right, so fair play to him. In the Stars team of the season, we actually had the majority of the players, which is a bit sad. We had 6 players to PSG's 5. Fekir wins most assists with 15. That is 1 more than Dani Alves. Traore wins Best African Player, 7.72 average rating. It's hard to argue with that. Cavani top goal scorer, Neymar second, Bertrand Traore third. Lopez won Goalkeeper of the season. In terms of the 11 of the season, I guess this is different. We have 4 players in this team. PSG have 5. Then you've got Sidibe and Amavi at either fullback position. Also doing pretty well. Sidibe's very good, isn't he? Jeez. Get a scout report. He's not in our budget, but get a scout report. Let's have a look at him. But no, good to see Lopez and Wallace in there. And then also Ndombele. Fair play. He hasn't had the craziest average rating, but as I said, centre mids in FM this year, I've said it a few times, I feel like their average ratings are pretty harsh. He's got a 7.27 in the league, which, to be fair, is pretty good. It's just, when you compare it to the likes of, I guess, Bertrand Traore and even Wallace, there's a bit of a world of difference, between those players in terms of the actual quality. But things are looking pretty good here. Anyway, let's keep going. We've got Mets. Well, they're going to be loaning Maxi, which I think is good. We didn't get Manager of the Year. It's a disgrace. I'm going to complain about that, I think. I feel like I have to. But no, we've got all the end of season awards, so we're not that far off the start of the new season. I think the 20th of June is officially the end season date. So Ferry's leaving for 1.9 million. I'm kind of happy just to get rid of him. He's been unhappy since he joined us. Didn't play a role in the first team at all. Was transfer listed when we joined. We've got a little bit of money from him. He's not a particularly great centre mid. We've got better options out there. I feel like just he was the backup of all backups. You can see here we've got a small reputation boost. That's pretty good news, I guess. Lenglet is going to join us. Now, I know that the YouTube comments are going to be full of people saying, Jack, stop signing centre-backs. I feel like £8.5 million is just too good to refuse for this guy. He's just a good player. I know this year he's not had the best year at Barcelona, but you've got to look here. He joined Barcelona for £31 million. We're signing him for £8.5 million. I think he's worth that money. I don't think he's ever going to be worth less. Shadas here has an interesting loan offer with Nîmes. that is actually kind of tempting to loan him out, because he's more than good enough to play a first-team role at a team, and this year he just didn't really play for us so much at centre attack in mid. And they do want to pay all of his wages. I like that as a loan deal. I feel like that's one that makes sense. Nim did well this year. Obviously, we played them to end the season. I feel like he has a real opportunity. Shadas just become a massive, important first-team player for them. And that could be huge for his development. With some of the players we've signed this year, you look at players like Shadas, we brought him in for £1 million. Like, it's nothing really. And, the reality is that we are going to, get him out on loan, and he's going to play regular first-team football, which will hopefully aid his development. Anyway, the new season is officially beginning. Exciting times ahead. We've got a few players being promoted from the under-19s. Our fixture list to start: Nîmes, Brest, Dijon. We then have Monaco and Nantes to start the year. Monaco away. That is not the easiest game, but we'll see how we get on. We're going to receive £35 million. I've got a new set of suggested subscriptions, which is fine. Some matches have been rearranged. I'm not sure why they've been rearranged, but they have been. But I guess officially the new season starts now. The league has reset. And the first port of call, I think, is going to be to look to maybe sell Marçal. Now, I've kind of gambled a little bit here on playing him in the first team for the second half of the year over Mendy, hoping that we might get some interest in him. Interesting that Monty's got some interest in him. Some interesting interest, as the kids would say. Anyway, season has officially ended. Marçal wants to know why we're forcing out. Lopez, can you just talk to him? Unable to resolve his happiness. I think it's the right thing to do at your point in the career. He says he's got a better grasp on what's good for my career, and I will not be forced out of this club. I'm sorry. Okay, he's not happy. We might have a mutiny. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Marin's going to go to Dijon. That's good. Georgelin, our backup goalkeeper, who I believe is homegrown. He is on a new contract, which is good. Let's transfer list Marçal. We need to kind of get him out of the team. He's 31 years old this year, or is he already 31? He's old, basically. He's 31 this coming season. He's already on the decline as a player. His stock is relatively high because he was such a core part of our first team this year. Obviously, we've got Moreno coming in at left back, but I do feel like it would be ideal to move him on if the opportunity does arise. I'm glad that our scouts are suggesting lots of, perfectly reasonable players for us to get. Although this guy looks pretty good, Toma. It's when they're suggesting the likes of Donnarumma, you kind of just turn your nose up and go, what are you doing? But I like him. They also like this guy, Thiago Jallo. I mean, he looks like a very good centre-back. I've never come across this guy before. I can't help but feel like Sporting are going to want a lot of money for him, though. Let's see how much they want. 46. Yep. Pull out. 46 million. We're not doing that. We're not made of money. This guy, Frydek, is apparently pretty good. I mean, he's not good, is he? We've been lied to there by our scouts. I've got to be honest, a little underwhelmed by the suggestions they've given us so far here. Nice want Cornet on loan. They're willing to pay 80% of his wages. That is the kind of loan deal we were hoping for. Ferreira, Brest want him on loan. Can you make him a key player? They want to make him a rotation player. Is that a good loan for him, or would I rather just keep him in our reserve team? I think I'd rather just keep him in our reserve team, to be honest. He's a good player, but I'm not convinced he's good enough to play regular first-team football at our current level, which is what he would be doing with Brest next year. So even though they're promising him a rotation status, I don't think he would even get that much first-team football on the loan deal. So with that in mind, it doesn't make a great deal of sense. But you might have seen there, Shadas is going to go out. I definitely need to get rid of Marçal. Who's interested? Udinese are apparently interested. I mean, considering we've got Moreno joining us on a free, even if we only get like 5 million for him, for a player who's 30 years old, I know he had a good season. It wasn't a standout season, I feel like, at left back. It would probably be good for us. Pintor's got a loan offer. Pintor's a player who was at the club when we joined. He's okay. He's got some potential. I don't think he's ever going to play in the first team, so a loan deal's probably not the worst idea in the world. Marçal, I feel like we might have some issues shifting on here, but we're going to continue to be persistent, I guess, and see if we can make it happen. Otherwise, I am going to have a bit of an issue at left back with Mendy, Marçal and Moreno. And obviously, of those three, I think Marcel is the one I'd rather get rid of. Oscar, great scout report, estimated wage demands £300,000 to £400,000. That is going to be a problem. Oliver, on the other hand, a little bit more reasonable with his demands. He looks pretty good as a player. We'll continue to scout him. He's currently transfer listed, but his asking price is a little high for my liking. I feel like something we've got to do here at Lyon is, buy low, sell high. Can you speak to clubs? Good. He's gone from not wanting to be transfer listed to just hating me so much that he wants to talk to other clubs to try and force a move. Hopefully we can make something happen. Also, we should probably sort out some pre-season friendlies. I normally set it up in the staff responsibilities. Where is it? Arranges friendly matches. It's on the overall page, isn't it? I think. Am I going create? No, it's here. Apparently he should already be arranging friendly matches. He's not done it yet. Should I be worried? Season's still a month away. I believe that he's gonna sort of beginning of pre-seasons on the 1st of July. So if we get to the 1st of July and he's still not done his job, then we panic. Cheap promoting, estimated cost £3 million. Still one of the weirdest transfers to happen ever, Cheap promoting to PSG. I assume there was a reason for it, I just don't know it. Wagner here, I mean, he'd be an interesting plan B striker. And I do feel like a plan B striker might be something we need. A Holu here. That's definitely not how you say his name, but he looks pretty solid as a centre mid. Transfer listed by Monaco. That asking price of $5 million is not that massive. Obviously, I'm kind of just keeping an eye on the recommendation number here. Lewis Baker is good. Lenglet, 78. He's the highest of all the players that we've scouted, and of course, he's already joining us. Chambers, Sissoko. I feel like Sissoko's wage demands are still going to be a problem. Additionally, he's not doing a great deal for me. He's kind of the jack of all trades, master of none, where he's kind of a bit all-rounded, but without really having any standout area. El Neni looks okay. Juan Mata would be an interesting one, but I think the wages might be a problem. We are organising some friendlies finally, so that's good. Kelvin here. I feel like this guy used to be amazing in FIFA years ago. I feel like maybe in 2015, FIFA 14. I feel like he was like one of those insane silver skiller Brazilian players. I realise that for 99% of you, you probably don't play FIFA Ultimate Team. I'm speaking a foreign language referencing a player from 5 years ago who was good when he was 21. But I didn't know he'd moved to Portugal. I've got to be honest, he's just a player who I'd completely erased from my memory. I don't know if you guys ever get that where a player gets mentioned. It might be a former player, it might be a real player who is still playing, but you've just kind of totally forgotten about, and you kind of go, oh yeah, that guy exists. That's kind of how I feel here. Anyway, we've had a few offers from the K-League for Marcel. I mean, they're not the craziest offers, I'm going to be completely honest with you, but they're offers, and I kind of just want to get rid of him. Jeonbuk are offering me a better offer in terms of they want less of his wages covered. So we're going to go with them and hopefully he leaves. Of course, we've got Moreno coming in on a free transfer. And Marcel is the latter stages of his kind of 30. And he is also just a player who, I don't know. I just don't really have a spot for him in the team, I guess, this coming year with Moreno joining us. And I feel like between him and Mendy is just the better player to keep hold of. Just thinking about the rest of our team here, I probably want to try and sell Joseph Martinez now if I can. I know I promised that I wasn't going to sell him, and it's probably going to cause him to kick up a fuss. It's worth remembering that he's not... I should check this before I offer him out, but I'm doing it anyway. But I don't think he's... Yeah, he's in an influential player group, but he's not a super influential player. So I'm hoping that he can't really cause too much of a mutiny from where he is in the team. Additionally, he hasn't played that well for us, so I feel like... I don't know, I don't feel like any players are going to back him up if he kicks up a fuss and tries to be like, why are you selling me? I feel like we're going to be okay in that regard. No offers for Martinez. I mean, it doesn't really surprise me. He's not been that great. Few teams wanting him. Watford want him on loan. I mean, I don't really want to loan him out, Watford, but you're more than welcome to stick in a bid. Martinez wants to leave the club. So if Martinez and Marcel both deals go through, assuming Marcel agrees, personal terms in Korea, that's going to leave us with 2 non-EU player slots. So we have got the option to look perhaps slightly further afield. Vakir still got interest from Arsenal. I do feel like we are in for a transfer saga or two over this summer period. We'll have to wait and see, I guess, what happens there. Nice making early moves in the transfer market with Choupo-Moting and Ferry, which is interesting. Just in terms of our most valuable players, have any of them got that interest in them? Bertrand Traore, teams interested, Tottenham and PSG. And Depay has interest from Juve. I'm going to offer Depay for 60 million and just see if Juve nibble. I've got to be honest, Depay a little underwhelming, and he has that sell-on clause, the buyback clause. Sorry, the buyback clauses in Traore and Depay's contracts genuinely do worry me to the point where I kind of want to sell them now when they're hot, rather than risk Chelsea or United coming in and just stealing them away from us. Anyway, Cornet's going to go out on loan to Nice. That's going to help us a little bit there. I think with a lot of these players we've now got going out on loan, our first team is going to feel a little less bloated this year. Obviously, last year we had a lot of players that we made available for the reserve team, but I know it was kind of a common thing that you guys mentioned about the fact that very frequently we did have just a big first team, even if a lot of those players did play in the reserves. Of course, we've also got Nangon at centre-back, so we're going to have plenty of talent there. I probably should be looking at the loan-out deals now for Konate at centre-back and also for Markovic for the coming year. Lots of players getting homegrown status. Lovely stuff. Doesn't have a great bearing on us, I don't think, but hey, not going to complain. So, let's look at our centre-backs here. So, Konate, I would like you to go out on loan this year. I'd love it to be a team in our division. I'd like, ideally, for you to be a key player and for them to want to pay all your wages, but I realise that might be a little bit lofty. Let's lock in squad status of first team, just see if anyone wants to loan him. Markovic was on loan at Auxerre. They're in the second tier. They didn't come second, did they, in the league and get promoted? Oh, no, they did get promoted. Okay. That's interesting. I'm going to propose a loan extension then. If they hadn't got promoted, I was probably going to recall him and then send him on loan to a Ligue squad. But looking at it here, they want to extend his loan until the end of the season. So that's really good for him. No one considers a loan deal for Konate viable. Is that because of the first team status locked in? Let's try offering him out with no wage expectations and just see if anyone's interested. I did think a team would be, there'd be some teams queuing up to loan him. There probably will be if we don't want any of his wages covering. I'd like to think that someone will take him on a freebie. He's definitely good enough to play at this level regularly. Whilst I could just keep him in the current squad as a backup. With some of the players we've got coming in, and the fact that he's a young player who I do just want to continue his development, first team football is just, needed, ultimately. So, that could be a really good loan deal, I feel like, for Markovic, at the very least, to play at this level. Hopefully, someone's going to, realise that there's value in Konate as a loan. We've got a few players whose contracts are expiring. Dorian Grange here. I mean, you're okay. We technically don't have a third-choice goalkeeper, and he doesn't have the craziest demands. And he is homegrown, so I'm just going to give him a new contract. McTominay's returned to United. Obviously, he was someone we signed at the start of the year. He played a little bit to begin the season. Didn't do a great deal for us. In truth, played a little bit in the reserves, but was very mediocre. Drame here, not good enough for the team. You can be released, I'm sorry. Kevin here. I mean, he looks okay, but he's just never going to be good enough for the first team at 22. So again, we'll release him from club. Mbubuni, that's not how you say his name. Maybe it is Mbubuni. Again, it's just not good enough. Just not of the quality. Oxlade-Chamberlain, I love as a player in real life, but the injury proneness is a tiny bit of a problem. I'm not going to try and hide it. It's a turn-off, put it that way. Okay, so we've got a few friendlies organised. I didn't actually see how many our staff organised. I think I saw 2. The board are happy. Last season disappointments are fresh in our mind. Of course, we promised them we were going to win the league. Forgot about that. That's a situation. We changed, didn't we, our expectations in January and it backfired. Lille want to loan Konate and they're offering him a status as a key player. Yes, that is a really good loan deal. Lille narrowly missed out on relegation last year. They're a team who should be finishing higher in the league. Their prediction is still 8th. They've got really good facilities. That would be a really great loan, especially if he plays regular first-team football. We've missed out on a sell-on clause in this guy's contract. I mean, it doesn't look like we're missing a great deal. So we've got 3 new defenders and Glen Kamara coming in. It's all looking good. So, right, Kanate and Markovic are going out. Marcel is also leaving us, so you can get out of the team. Jadas and Marin have also gone out on loan. So we can remove all of them, and Cornet's also gone out on loan. So suddenly, our first team isn't looking kind of crazily bloated as it once was, which is good. Monty is wanted by Watford. Did Watford get relegated? Because they've got some weird players that they're interested in. I feel like they must have done. They did not. Who did get relegated from the Premier League? Just out of curiosity, there might be some players with good release clauses. Okay, it was all the teams who came up except Brighton. I'm just wondering if Sessegnon's been sold yet. It looks like he might well have been. Yeah, they've sold him to Manchester City for 25 million. Does Fulham have any other good players that I'm just not thinking of? I guess they've got Seri. Seri could be an interesting one. Does he have a release clause in his contract? I mean, surely he's not going to be happy about the fact he's just been relegated with Fulham. Obviously, formerly played in the French league. They've also got this guy, Alex Achukwu. That's probably not how you say his name. I apologise. I tried my best. My pronunciations are horrific, aren't they? Cardiff also went down. Do they have anyone worthwhile to sign? I feel like probably not. They've got a hot prospect in Keith Foley. I mean, he looks okay. In fact, he looks quite good, but we have goalkeepers. And then the other team is Brighton, who, for some reason, all their players are considered first-team players or senior players. There's no way their squad's this big, surely not. They can't have 7 goalkeepers. I refuse to believe it. If we untick senior and retick... Okay, apparently this is their senior squad. I think so. It might have gone wrong here at Brighton. They've got Pascal Gross, who is a decent player. A very good centre mid. Kind of similar to Fekir. A less athletic Fekir, I guess you'd say. Dembele's doing well in training, so we'll give him a little bit of praise. Transfer window opens as well here, so expect some offers to potentially start coming in. Some players released here. Ben Arthur, the only name I think I recognise in this entire list. Oh, Mbia as well. Man, he's been around a long time, has Mbia. Right, players with contracts expiring. Thomas has some good potential. So we'll give him a new contract, even though our staff recommend against giving him a new contract at this time. I think he could be okay. There's a few other players here who I think are probably worth just renewing their contracts. Remove the yearly wage rises. To be honest, they're players who are probably unlikely ever to be good enough for the first team, but I like to keep the numbers up in our reserves. So, yeah, we'll just offer new contracts to these players with some potential, at least in the eyes of our assistant. Even if he is saying, you know, maybe we shouldn't offer them new contracts at this time. But yeah, as I said, it's going to be a little bit more laid back today's episode. As I say that 45 minutes in, I don't know how much longer we're going to continue going for. But, you know, the next couple of episodes are going to be, you know, a little bit chilled out. It's going to be a lot of admin work, bits behind the scenes. There's probably going to be points where I sit umming and ahhing for 10 seconds just thinking about potential transfers. Of course, we've got Moreno and instantly gets injured. Not ideal, but we'll hope that isn't a sign of things to come, I guess. Of course, Moreno is going to play left back. So is this right now kind of our best 11 that I've got selected? I mean, it probably is. I feel like strength and depth were actually pretty solid, you know? The squad size is definitely more manageable this year. Martinez has got interest in him. Does anyone want to bid on him, though? I don't want to loan him out. I want someone to pay for him. We brought him in for £6 million. Given how little he did last year, whilst his value is 15 million, anything over that is a pretty good return. Terrier's got some interest from Watford. Why do Watford want all of our players? Have they sent some scouts to look just at our team? That's kind of what it's beginning to feel like. More scout reports coming in. Any kind of massive recommendations here? I've done recommendations again. Oliver is the standout one with an 84 kind of recommendation score. I do like him quite a lot. I do wonder if my scouts are valuing him too highly. Let's just continue to scout him. Why not? Have any new players become available as transfer listed? Wijnaldum, Fred. In fact, there's lots of new players. Lyon could be an interesting one, especially if we were to sell Fekir. But how much are they wanting? 38 million. It's a little out of our budget. We don't need Ben Davies at left back. David Luiz is a little bit old for my liking. I feel like Victor Moses is underrated in FM. Indeed he is. Wijnaldum at 28 could be a pretty good signing. Bit of experience. Not the craziest valuation. 23 million. But given our current transfer kind of budget, he's probably a little out of our price range. Bakayoko I don't hate. But obviously, in real life, he's not the player that I think Chelsea were expecting to sign. I think that would be the fairest assessment of him. Perhaps a little bit too kind in a lot of ways. But, well, looking across the board here, there are a few new players transfer listed. There's no one leaping out on the page at me as someone who it's like, right, we must sign those. I mean, the reality is that our transfer budget doesn't really allow it unless we sell anyone. We've only got 7 million. And I've still got... Where's Lenglet? Lenglet's there. Lenglet should be starting. So Denea off the bench. I'm sorry. I think our starting centre-backs are going to be Lenglet and Wallace for next year. Part of me feels like I should be selling Marcelo whilst I can with 2 years left on his contract. He's 32. His physicals are starting to tumble. Where does he sit in the hierarchy? He's actually not in the team leaders, which is where I thought he'd be. We've got Fekir, Lopez and Toussaint there. And we've also got Nanon, of course, as well, who I need to change his squad status to backup, because that's what he is. He might have been told he was a rotation option when he joined us. I lied. I did lie. Sometimes you have to lie to get players to join you. You know, you got to promise them the world and then just let them down. Denea. Did we never set up Denea's training? I don't even know. Lenglet, ball playing defender. Kamara is going to be centre mid. Ball winning midfielder, I think, for him. And Moreno, left back, full back on attack, I think. I really hope we can sell Martinez. I really hope we can sell Martinez because we need some money from somewhere. And we've got £80 million in the budget. Can I ask for a bit more? I can't ask for any more at the moment. I was hoping maybe we could ask for a bigger transfer budget or wage budget, but alas, it's not meant to be. Auxerre off to loan Dejan. That is tempting. It is tempting. I just worry that if I can't replace Martinez, I might still need him. Apparently Lenglet was considered a transfer swoop. Oh, I guess all our transfers were. I mean, this year we've not spent a great deal of money to start it. £15 million, I guess 15 million isn't a small amount, but actually for the players that we've got, Moreno, Gonanon and Lenglet, I feel like we're looking pretty solid. Of course, we've also got Marcel, who's likely to be leaving us for about 5 million. I kind of had it in my head that I was emotionally and mentally prepared to sell Depay, Traore or Fekir for like a massive sum of money if it meant I could reinvest. But so far, we've not even had a bid other than that Arsenal bid on Fekir that included loads of clauses. Season expectations, I think Champions League is realistic this year. I could tell them I want to win the league, but I don't think it's worth risking things. So we'll just go with what we've got. The amount of money we were going to gain by promising that we'd win the league is not worth the job security risk as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, we're kind of now going to the business end of the window, you know. This is where things are going to start to get a little bit spicy. Sumer has a few teams interested in loaning him. I mean, sure, he's a player who's never going to play for us. I don't think he's good enough, so we'll let him head out. Collie has had a loan offer. Collie has some potential. Not familiar with this guy at all. Currently training him as a poacher on attack. I'm going to change that to complete forward on attack just to try and get his physicals up a little bit because they're all lacking, but I'm not going to loan him out as a result. Dejan here is a different case though. I'm thinking in terms of squad depth here and strikers. Obviously we have Dembele, you know, Bertrand Traore, Fekir, Depay can all slot in there. Martinez, Terrier's there. See, a loan could be good for him, but I feel like I do need him just as a little bit of backup in that area of the pitch. Because whilst we have got, you know, some other striking options, they're players who kind of already feature in the team elsewhere, so they're not exactly kind of backups. So I think I'm going to reject that loan offer, at least for now. Of course, if we can move on Martinez, it frees up a bit of money. I'd like to request more money, but I don't think we're going to get that opportunity. At least not right now. What is there in terms of transfer listed strikers? It's probably worth checking. Whereas I was about to add position strike, we actually already have it here. Inglese could be an interesting option from Napoli. He's actually a pretty good player. I guess the big thing would be how much do they want for him? 7 million? It's not a crazy sum of money. You got Vincent Janssen, not really my kind of player. I like a player who's either very quick or very good in the air, and he's just kind of technically gifted without excelling at either. Takuma Asano is a really weird player. Of course, he got signed by Arsenal in real life. I don't know if he ever got a work permit. He spent a few loans in Germany. I don't know how he's been getting on this actual season, but he's just a bit of a weird one. Raul de Tomas. Now, I've had some good experiences with this guy. I actually quite like him in FM. He might not have the craziest demands either as a backup player. Also, Hesse is interesting, but he's inconsistent and injury prone, and he only played one game last year. I mean, suddenly not so interested in him. Raul Jimenez, I guess, how did he get on at Wolves last year in this save? Awfully is the answer. He is very underrated in FM. I feel like he's probably significantly better in the winter update. I'm going to be honest, there is not the craziest amount of striking options here. Let's just get scout reports on the top few. And I now want to change this to contract status expiring in 1 year and just see who's maybe in the last year of their contract who we might be able to get for a little bit less than their asking price. Hosselu would be an interesting one, although he's not as good as I thought he might be. Kevin Prince Boateng at Sassuolo, of course, we're on the January update, so he's not updated. Juan Hernandez has a lot of potential in FM. Last year of his contract at Wolves, I'd be amazed if they were even willing to let him go for 10 million, but he hasn't got a work permit. Yeah, I knew that they were going to want a lot of money. I didn't think they'd want £120 million, but little out of our budget, I think is probably the best and kindest way to put it. Vieto could be a very interesting option, actually. He used to be a really hot prospect. He still looks pretty solid, doesn't he, to be fair to him. He's valued at 7 million as well. Mousset as well is not a bad player. I don't know how he's... I mean, he was a player who was very good in FM a few years ago. I don't know how good he is now. I must admit, I don't feel like he's made a massive name for himself at Bournemouth. Finn Bogerson, relegated with Augsburg. Did Augsburg get relegated? Or are Augsburg always in the Bundesliga too? I feel like they might have got relegated. I've not got the Bundesliga loaded, so I can't tell you with certainty. He's incredible attacking-wise, but similar to Vincent Janssen, you know, doesn't really excel at any one thing. He's just kind of okay, I guess. Just looking through here for any more players who are going to be super worth going in for. There's no one who kind of massively jumps out at me. Could go for a 33-year-old Negredo. Probably not the best use of our budget. Batafemi Gomis at 33. Again, probably not the best use of our budget. Just wondering about players who are expiring in 6 months, if there's any here. Actually, there is a few. There is a few players with contracts expiring in 6 months, but they're all old players playing in China and stuff, except this guy who breaks the mould. I mean, he looks interesting. Harold, what's his last name? Preciado? I've never heard of you. Apparently you're playing for Shenzhen. You went from Deportivo Cali straight to Shenzhen. Deportivo Cali always have really good regens. I'm really not familiar with their team at all in real life. I mean, he looks kind of good. Screw it, let's just get a scout report on him. If we look at their profile, have they got a hot prospect? They have not at the moment. What about if we look at the Colombia under-20s? Colombia always gets good regens. Have they got any interesting ones here? They got a couple of, well, and not a couple, a fair few 16-year-olds. Why not just get scout reports on them? I could probably do with just having a look at the French national team, actually, the French youth national team, just to see what's happening in the under-21s. And, well, the lower levels as well, just to see if there's any regens who have immediately broken in. Gomez is an interesting one, because I actually quite rate this guy at City, but they kind of just don't really develop him. There's a few players here. 14-year-old playing for Rennes. I mean, he looks incredible at 14, and he's either-footed. Get a scout report on him. Rennes, how much do you want? Be reasonable. He's 14. 11 million. It's not actually as unreasonable as I thought it was going to be. He looks very good, doesn't he? He's 14. He's 14. Right. There's not many contexts where I can say he's 14 like that and it not be taken too terribly. I'm going to offer them a kind deal, but it is going to be very clause dependent. So I'll offer you 2.5 million up front. And then if he plays 30 league games, 50 league games, and a certain number of international games for France, I'll give you money. So if he plays 20 international games for France, 2.5 million. If he plays 50 league games for us, that's per league appearances, Jack. Don't put that one in. If he plays 50 league games for us, 2.5 million comes your way. If he plays 30 league games, 1 million. It's a good offer. They love it. I don't mind that offer. So it's 2.5 million up front. If he breaks into our first team and plays 30 matches, we give them an additional 1 million. And then they get 2.5 million if he plays 50 league games or if he plays 20 games for France's national team. I assume he doesn't now have a really obscure secondary nationality. Indeed, he does not. He looks very good, doesn't he? Obviously, we'll get a scout report on him as well before we sign him. This guy looks okay as a goalkeeper, but we already have a young goalkeeper coming through. Quentin here looks very good as well. Jeez, those kind of vision attributes. 15 vision, 15 passing, 16 flair. Good physicals as well. I wonder if we could put in a similar kind of transfer offer. Let's see what they're asking for. They want 12 million plus a sell-on clause. So I could probably get a similar offer for Auger here. I do like the look of him quite a lot. Obviously, current ability is only half the story. We need to make sure that he has potential, so we'll do that through, obviously, our scouts. But I'm going to go with a similarly structured deal with, you know, clauses that really only are going to pay out if he's really worth the money. You know, the reality is for a player like this guy, if he plays, well, if we offer him the exact same deal, if he plays 30 first-team games for us, he's probably worth the £3.5 million we've paid for him. If he goes on to make 50 league appearances, he's probably worth the £6 million we've paid for him. And then if he goes on to make the international appearances as well, he's probably worth the £20 million we've offered for him. This guy does want slightly more, but I think we can get a similarly good deal with a similar mentality, I guess, when it comes to the deal itself, and no sell-on clause, which is huge. And the current season transfer budget cost for these two signings wouldn't be too big either. So we've got a scout report coming on Auger. Lemaitre here, I mean, I don't know why I've rolled the R. He's okay, but he doesn't really add anything that we don't have. And, well, they're all the regens right now in the first team. I mean, if we can get those two guys, if they do want to negotiate contracts with us, which they might not, I think I'm going to be pretty happy with them as signings. And, well, looking at it here, you can see they are interested. So that is good news indeed. And I'm willing to offer them a bit more money than they're asking for to stick in an optional 3-year extension. Talked about the reasoning behind this before, but it's pretty much just to ensure we get them. So Marcel's going for 5 million. 4.2 million is going to be added to the transfer kind of kitty. I noticed here with Auger, PSG are interested in him, so we want to make sure PSG don't get him, and we're going to do that through offering him a contract he can't refuse, which gives me a chance to explain another cool little thing in FM. So I'm going to offer this guy a bigger contract because I am a little bit scared of PSG just coming in and stealing him away from me. I don't really want them to do that. So we're going to try and offer him a contract here, which I'm pretty sure he's going to accept outright. But you'll see here it says, my client appreciates these terms. I hope you understand the need for us to go away and consider the bigger picture. So it's good. He's accepted the contract. You might think, well, that's going to be the end of it. I'm scared of PSG getting this guy. I am. So with that in mind, I'm going to try and trigger a different line to appear. And to do that, we're going to up the wage bonus and the signing on fee. And we're looking for a thing to appear here which says this is a very acceptable offer. And when you see that line appear, it means that no matter what money the player gets offered by other teams, he's going to join you. So here's the line. My client feels this is a very acceptable offer. If we finalise this now, he will sign on the next continue, no matter what. So if you have a bit of money to spare, if you're competing against a big team, say you're a low-end Premier League team and Manchester United are going in for the same regen as you, the chances are that, you know, if you offer them the same wages, they're obviously always going to go to Manchester United. But if you can get that line to appear, and sometimes you do just have to pay outlandish contracts which aren't worth it, but it does guarantee the player will join you. And I think for Auge here, it's probably going to be worth it. Because I'll be honest, he looks absolutely blooming incredible as a deep line playmaker. I mean, you look at his attributes here, when we have all the key ones highlighted, there's already so many that are 15s and 16s for a deep line playmaker. Yes, his physicals could be a little bit better, but he's 15. And he is going to have potential, I hope. We will find out, I guess, when it comes down to our scout report, just how much potential he might have. But I think he's probably going to be worth it. So we obviously made this offer for Werder. I really like this guy as well. I feel like if we can get these 2 regens in, I'd be pretty happy with that as our transfer business. Awar wants a new contract. We can't afford it right now. There's going to be no contract. He wants to start a mutiny. I mean, that's gone well. I probably should have just told Fekir to talk to him. Dortmund have made an offer for Traore of 49 million. It's good, but it's not as good as I was hoping. Let's just offer him out for 65 and just see if anyone comes in for him. We've also got, you can see, a 15% of the profit goes to Chelsea. So if we sell him for, say, 70 million, he was signed for 9, so that's 61 million pounds profit made. So if we sell him for 61 million, we actually only see 50 million of that. Just because of the sell-on clauses. Traore wants a new contract. Oh, don't do this. See, I kind of want to negotiate a new... I mean, I'm not paying you 110 grand a week, but he's only got 3 years left on his current deal. Traore, your agent wants too much money. He does not want to sack his agent. I am not going to double his wages for a player who I was kind of interested in selling. Fekir, can you solve this problem? No, is the answer. Fekir, he wants a new contract. He said, I think about asking for a new improved contract, but it means a lot. You've come to speak to me about it, so there's no need to worry. It's fine. He does like to change his mind, does Bertrand Traore. He isn't sure what he wants in life. Martinez, not doing good in training. You need to improve. You might still be at the club, mate. You might still be playing for this shirt, and if that is the case, I do kind of want you to do a little bit better than you're doing right now. We'll offer him out for 9 million and see if anyone nibbles. I mean, Trabzonspor, it's too much in the way of wage contribution for my liking. I was about to say they put in a good offer in terms of it's more than what we bought him for. But they wanted us to pay a chunk of his wages, which I didn't really want to pay. And now no one wants him. Guerrieri's had a few offers. See, I like this guy, but obviously he's been out of a long-term injury. He lost a lot of his physicals as well. He's one of the best talents, I think, at Lyon in real life. But he was out with like ligament damage for the first 7 months of the save, so his development kind of tanked as a result. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Kanate going on loan to Lille. Great loan deal for him. I really like that. I realise I don't think I've been ticking the compile match report on some of the the better players who were loaning out, who we do want to keep an eye on. Let's get Gerard Houllier to get us match reports on all these players who we've loaned out, who we are actually going to want to, keep tabs on this year. We're going to want to see how they're getting on in the league. Maxi as well, you're in that same bracket of players who I do actually care about your development. Cornet as well, it's going to be worth keeping an eye on. I mean, we're doing it for everyone except Pintor. He's probably wondering what's gone wrong. Of course, Marcel has now left the club. It's a little bit sad to see him go, but he is 30 years old and we just have better players. It's the reality of football, and football as a business. I'm not a sentimental person. He had a good year for us, don't get me wrong, but we brought in Moreno, who apparently is valued at £42 million. I mean, I like the look of that. Please hold that value, is all I can really say. Traore still has interest from PSG, but they're yet to actually put in an offer for him. Can you stick one in, PSG? Just 70 million. It's the kind of money I'm hoping for, really, from him. My concern with Traore is he had such a good year last year. I don't know if he can match it this year. Squad are unhappy with the treatment of Aouar. I'm going to just say I consider his demands unreasonable. Everyone agrees with me. I mean, he didn't really have that much backing. I think he's considered kind of slightly influential. He's like not in the bottom of the pyramid of influentialness, but he's not at the peak of it either. He's kind of just lagging behind. So with that in mind, I don't need to worry too much, I don't think, about a massive crap storm to deal with from him kind of rallying all the troops against us in some massive kind of mutiny. Dembele's out for 5 to 8 days. That is not the best of news. Players out on loan. We're getting the match reports, which is good. Of course, they're all pre-season friendly, so they don't really matter that much. Still trying to get rid of Martinez. Will we get rid of him? Tune in next time. I feel like that in itself might end up being a saga. Guerri's loan. I don't want to loan him out. I want to focus on his training. Have we got any clauses we can sell? No, we've got some that we can buy, but I don't really want to buy them. Can we ask for more money yet? Nope, is the answer. Still potentially looking for that striker, that golden option that we need, that elusive secondary goal scorer. Maximilian Philip. Don't have a great knowledge of this guy, I'll be honest. I'm really not familiar with him playing for Dortmund. I'm sure some of you guys are. Kalinic, I mean, he's okay. He's not great, but he's experienced, but his wages are going to be mental. That's the thing. I kind of need a player who's going to come in and also be happy, to take a kind of backup wage. Aldi Thomas is that player I kind of mentioned. His recommendation level is 67. Asking price 3 million. Wage demand's very low. It's tempting. I've not had that many bad experiences with him. How does he compare to Martinez? Martinez is faster, more physical, and more technical, but he's not, a complete league apart. Just thinking if there's any good young strikers in FM I've just not really been thinking about. I've not really looked at the Brazilian national team. We have now got a non-EU player spot free with Marcel going out, of course. Somehow I don't think we're going to be able to get in Gabriel Jesus, but if we look, down at the youth levels, there might be a player here. There might be a diamond in the rough hiding away. Someone we're not super familiar with who could turn out to be a very good player. I haven't really looked at, in the Dutch League much, but the Dutch League does have some pretty good players, like Lozano. I guess we looked at him at the start of last year as a potential player. He's the kind of man who, if we did end up selling someone like Depay, he would probably be kind of the kind of player, at least, that I'd like to replace him with. Just wondering about Ajax as well. De Ligt has had a bid on him. 25 million from Manchester United. Kasper Dolberg, £23 million for him. See, that's a pretty good deal for a very, very good striker, as I readjust in my chair, contemplating it. De Jong obviously doesn't have a transfer agreed. He could be very good as well. I should probably get a scout report on him. Obviously, with him making the switch in real life over to play in La Liga, it's unlikely that I'm going to get another opportunity to sign him. For a few football managers, I do actually quite like the look of him as kind of that proper playmaker. Who wants him at the moment? Sevilla are interested. I'm just curious how much they want for him. He's valued at 9 million. I can't help but feel like they're going to ask for like 23 million. That's my guess. 16. That's more reasonable than I thought it was going to be. I'll be honest. More reasonable than I thought it was going to be. If he had a transfer offer on him, I'd probably be already making a bid, but I'm just going to sit and think about it instead and procrastinate. Kasper Dolberg, I don't feel like £23 million is a reasonable sum of money for him. He's good, but I don't think he's that good. David Neres, if we needed, you know, an inside player on the right, he'd be an option. We've already got Trincao. I mean, let's just have a quick look at our first team here. Because I feel like we've dealt with a lot of the ingoings and outgoings now, you know, in terms of players leaving and coming and going. To be honest, I mean, how big's our squad here? It must be about 25 players? 27 players. That's about right for a first team, at least the way I like to build my teams. We perhaps have one more centre-back than I'd like. Is it bad that I am considering selling Marcelo despite last year and being so good? I do like him though. I mean, maybe we move on Monty. Because we're going to have Gnanon as well, who can play centre-back. I mean, how does he compare to Monty? Monty's a bit more technical and slightly better in the air. Slightly better when it comes to speed, but Gnanon is just better in a lot of ways. Thing is, well, we brought in Monty for less than £1 million. So if we just sell him on for some money, like, it's profit. We'll see if anyone bites at 5 million. I doubt anyone will, but I'm just curious to see if anyone even, you know, slings in an offer in that ballpark area. Had some offers for Martinez, but they involve selling wage contributions, but it's only 7,500. Can we negotiate either of these? We can't. I feel like we can sell him without having to cover his wages. I feel like it's possible. I've just got to be a bit persistent. £50,000 a week, though. I was expecting big things from him, and I've been let down big time. If we can make a profit from him, even if it's only £1 million, that's probably a miracle. Vosin Verdier, we're still scouting him, so we'll delay that. Monty is wanted on loan by Lille. It's not a great offer, is it, by him for Moussa Dembele? 38 million they've bid. He's valued at 35. GTFO. In the words of a famous man. I don't know who the famous man was, but someone said it at some point and they were probably famous. Monty on loan. If you cover his wages, you can have him on loan. They don't want to pay his wages. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't have to loan out Monty. So can you talk to Dembele about wanting to leave? You've tried to. It's not worked. Surely you don't want to leave a team as together as ours. I feel like this never works. I'm going to tell him he's going nowhere. This is his dream move. He'll make life very difficult. Are you threatening me, son? Sorry, I've got a bit excited there. Are you threatening me? Would you like a pay rise? No. He doesn't want a pay rise. Can we offer him a new contract? No. He'll forget about it in a couple of months. I really can't afford to sell Dembele, just in general. I definitely can't afford to sell him for just £38 million. That's just peanuts. Wallace off the mark for Brazil. Scores his first goal. It was against Japan. What competition are they playing in? Oh, the Copa... Why are Japan B in the Copa America final? I know that the Copa America has guest countries come and play, but Japan B? Did not know that was a thing. Have Argentina got any good regens or players breaking through who are going to be worth taking a look at? I do like Correa in Football Manager in general. We'll get a scout report on him. Did I miss the scout report on Vieto? Or has it not come through? We did get one. he could be the Martinez replacement, you know? And he can also play out wide, which is very nice. Not good in the air, but I mean, you can just see here, just in general, he's just a better player. 25 years old. He's not getting any younger. Has he got Spanish nationality? No, but he's got Italian, so he wouldn't count as a foreign player. What was the estimated asking price in the scout report? 3.2 to 4.6 million. I'll tell you what, if we can get him for 4 million, good business. His contract's up at the end of the year. Minimum release clause 22. I think there is a lot to like about Vieto as an option. While we're here, let's just have a look at Argentina's under 20s. Have they called up any regens? They've not. Not yet, at least. Do I want to look at Bolivia and Co's? Not really. You can see here all the scout reports and all those Colombian players we looked at. So David Diaz is the pick of the bunch. He looks pretty solid. Plays for Santa Fe. Could be the next Mario Yepes. Maybe I'm showing my age here by saying that I don't recognise Mario Yepes. He's 43. Who did he play for in his career? Actually, he played for some big teams. He played for Milan. He played for PSG. I feel bad not knowing this guy's name. Maybe I do know his name. But this guy looks pretty good. He's only 16. I mean, how much do you want? Let's talk numbers here, please, Santa Fe. Let's talk numbers. You want 300 grand. There we go. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to register him because he would count as a foreign player. But he looks pretty good. He looks pretty good. 84 recommendation level. Good enough for me. Ecuador's under 20s. They've got... I thought he was going to be a regen. He is actually a real player. I take it all back. Uruguay. Uruguay occasionally has some good players, doesn't it? Let's get scout reports on all their youngsters too. Just to see if there's anyone super standout who is going to be worth, you know, standing up and taking notice of. Just flicking through the players here. There's no one wowing me. There's no wow factor in these regens. Underwhelmed would be the way I describe my feelings to those players that were given to us. Oh, Vieto, your wage demands are mad. They are mad. Apparently David Diaz's client has some good demands. They're awaiting my first offer with interest. That I'm going to give you an offer that money can't reject. Okay, well they almost rejected it, so that's gone well. 300 grand though, low risk investment, looks good. Obviously I've got Tribute masking off so I can see how good he is, but I would just mass scout the team as you saw me do there and he'd be a standout player. Oh, those wages, Vieto. I don't really want to break the wage budget for a backup striker who might also occasionally play right mid. At the same time, his transfer fee is not mad. Oh, he's going to reject this. He's 100% going to reject this. I'm going to get an international cap bonus and make it a massive one because I genuinely don't see him playing for Argentina that often. I'll go to 53. I knew that was going to happen. £4 million. I mean, we might go back in for him. But those wages just a tiny bit too much for my liking. But Moreno for £50,000 was kind of feeling a little expensive at the time. I guess the reality is for us to attract the kind of players I want to attract, we are going to have to offer more money. How's Romero feeling? Unhappy with the treatment of Aouar, happy with the treatment of Dembele. I mean, it balances out, doesn't it? It's a yin and a yang. You know, he's unhappy about my treatment of one player, happy with the other. Treated them both the exact same. Toussaint continuing to develop. I mean, I just love Toussaint. He's so good. He's so good. Influential player. Future captain. I reckon. I've said it. Probably jinxed him now. He's going to break his leg and be out for 12 months or something. Seri would be good if his transfer cost wasn't so much. Pascal Gross, again, would be good if they didn't want quite so much money. Wijnaldum would be good if they didn't want so much money. Bakayoko would be good if they didn't want so much money. Fred would be good. Budget is kind of the problem at this point, isn't it? That's kind of the reality of the situation we find ourselves in. Fekir doesn't feel like the passing is helping him improve. He's probably right. We'll take it off it. DJ doesn't want any more quickness training. We'll take him off it. For now, I still want him to get quicker. Kitala's had a loan offer for him. Yeah, sure, why not? I don't actually rate Kitala that well. Or that highly. He's 21. I don't think he's got as much potential as, well, as our staff think he perhaps does have. So it's the 10th of July now. I think we've done around 2 months this episode. It's been a long episode as well. I feel like we should wrap things up sooner rather than later, but I kind of still want to just get rid of Martinez. Right. I'm going to try and just sell him for the money that we bought him for, but I don't want to have to pay any of his wages. Is anyone going to please come in for him? Just get rid of him. Get him out of my sight. Maybe I should have just accepted one of those earlier offers. Maybe that was the solution all the time. Oh, I mean, I was expecting more bids to come in on our players. I was expecting we might need to do a little bit more. It's not really happened. Diaz is going to join us. He's not actually going to sign for us for a year and a half, but at £300,000, bargain, value in the market. I mean, how good's he going to be in 3.5 years at centre-back? I have gone full on Tony Pulis, as someone mentioned in the comments a couple of episodes ago, with the amount of centre-backs I'm signing. I can't help it. I just like centre-backs. Just looking at the players that have been recommended here. Samaseku, I'm not familiar with you at all, I'm going to be honest. Apparently a good Segundo Volante. Apparently Olmo's asking price has gone right the way down to like not a lot at all. At least according to our assistant. Is our assistant telling the truth? He said between 1.5 and 3 million. He is telling the truth, and Olmo was a player who I was interested in previously, but I didn't really like how much money they were expecting for him. But actually, at the price they're now asking for him, he's probably a worthwhile addition. Good potential, less than £2 million. Additionally, if we do sell Joseph Martinez, it wouldn't be a bad thing, I guess, just to have an additional wide backup player. Assuming he's happy to be a backup. Because of our other wide backup players may well end up needing to double up as backup strikers to Dembele. Olmo's also happy to be a hot prospect. I noticed that Manchester City are interested in him. No one wants Martinez. Right, let's just offer him out for 6.5 and see if we do need to pay his wages. I'll just pay them. Just get rid of him, basically, is what I'm asking. Olmo is going to come in and be a bit of a squad player, but these kind of wage rise demands that he's having are a little unreasonable. He's 21, so he's not the youngest player in the world, but value in the market, a very good backup player, even just as an inside forward backup. I think he has a lot to offer. Our scouts rate his potential, and if you look at our kind of just squad depth in general, obviously we've got Depay, Saint-Maximin, then Terrier, but I feel Terrier and, well, obviously Bertrand Traoré is going to be playing out on the right. Saint-Maximin can play both wide player roles, that's fair enough, but Terrier, he might end up being a backup striker for us this year, the way things are going. Especially if we do let go of Martinez, which I kind of just want to do to free up the wages. Orga here, okay, he's inconsistent. He's not great in the air, we kind of already knew that. But there's a lot of stuff to like about him, and I'm going to sign him because we're signing him for a current fee of 3.6 million. That is a bargain for one of the best deep line playmakers in the world. He's a hot prospect for the future, and he's a young Frenchman as well, which is good, of course. And we can also register all our players whilst we are here. Lopez, can you introduce him? You know, help him integrate with the squad. I like him a lot. There is a lot to like about this boy. In terms of how we're going to train him, I think it's going to be roaming playmaker. Obviously, he's already very good as a playmaker, but it'd be good just to help his physicals, you know, improve even more. And additionally, strength. Strength training, but it helps his strength and his jumping reach. Obviously, jumping reach is just something you can't really naturally expect to improve that much, but certainly strength, it'd be nice to improve it a tiny little bit more. I am feeling like De Thomas might be a good option, even if he is slightly injury prone for 3 million. I feel like he's just good value for money. Vincinius from Napoli. I mean, equally, he could be okay value for money. It's just not as good right now. And I don't really need more potential at this point. Ferreira playing for Benfica. He's okay. I think I prefer De Thomas. Just over him in general. Just prefer that little edge of pace. Don't know why. I'd rather have a faster striker than a kind of good in the air striker. It's not like we play a super hoofball system either, is it? Oh, I still feel like maybe Vietto was the right player to sign and I ballsed up the negotiations. Could we maybe loan him for the year with an option to sign? No. Maybe we can reopen contract negotiations. I doubt it. Muset. He's unhappy at the club. His contract's up at the end of the year. I fear that they're going to want more money than I'm really willing to pay, though, Bournemouth, for him. Yep. We're on very different pages when it comes to his value. Benedetti. I do like this guy. Never heard of him. Doesn't like big matches at all. He was the random guy we saw at Deportivo Cali who I was like, hey, he looks okay. He does look okay. Is he in the national team setup? He's not. But this guy is. Playing for Genk. Genk, by the way. I don't know what they have in the water in Genkland, but they just have, like, you look at their record for producing players, like players who have come through Genk, it's actually mad. Their current best player is Adu. He's okay, but we don't need more centre-backs. Jack, stop looking. Stop looking. I do encourage you probably noticed this, that I kind of go on tangents when I'm looking at certain players. I actually think that's a really good way just to find players sometimes, is just to kind of go to random screens and just look at stuff that you might not always look at. The amount of times you'll stumble across players that you weren't, like, expecting to, and even if they're not players who are, immediately going to be useful for you, there's still a chance they're going to be, have some use longer term. I like this guy, Benedetti, but because of the non-EU player rule, I can't justify using a spot on him. Here's some more of the scout reports off players in the under-20s. They're all kind of meh. Vietto doesn't want to talk to us following previous breakdowns in talks. D. Thomas is happy to be a backup player. Now we hope he wants to take a wage in the region of £20,000. That would be perfect. I'm still a little bit conscious about the fact he's injury prone, so I probably won't offer him the longest contract in the world. I mean, his wage demands are significantly more than what I want to pay. I was thinking nearer 25 grand, mate. I'm going to be honest, 25. I'm going to be playing hardball here, and he can take 25 or he can go away. Okay, maybe I'm not. 27? Okay, 27. It's a little bit more than I wanted to pay for him wage-wise. I mean, you can put it into perspective here. 27 is kind of in a similar level to St. Maximin. Although maybe he does fit in that same bracket. Maybe that is where he is. See, I'm still looking at the replacement to Martinez. The fact of the matter is Martinez still has not had an offer for him. I should have taken one of the offers we got, Should have just taken the £8 million offer a couple of weeks ago and just accepted that and gone, you know what? It's not perfect, but it's okay. No one wants him now. Socio want Ferreira on loan. I mean, if you take him on as a first-team player, you can have him. I like Socio. I have a soft spot for them. It might be because I managed them last year, but they do have pretty good training facilities for a team of their level. And unlike some of the Ligue 1 teams who have bid on Mario Ferreira, I actually think he'll get regular first-team football there and a chance to develop. Brest is wanted by Monty. I mean, it could help us inflate his value a little bit with a view to sell him on. They only want to pay 90% of his wages, but that's still a pretty decent chunk. So if Monty goes out on loan as well, suddenly we're loaning out 3 centre-backs to teams in our division. That leaves us with Gananon, Lenglet, Wallace, Marcelo and Dinea, right? Yeah, so 5 very good centre-backs there. Okay, that makes sense. I'm happy with that as our centre-back setup. Although I might want to consider Marcelo's squad status being demoted to rotation. Dinea's as well probably wants to go to backup. He's slipping down the pecking order. But in general, I'm pretty happy now with our defensive strength in depth. We've got Tete at right back, Romero at right back. Obviously, Moreno and Mendy at left back. Kenny Lala, who's kind of third choice left and right back. At centre back, we have 5 options. That's what I like there. We obviously have Toussaint as our defensive midfielder. Backup defensive midfielder, Lucas Romero kind of covers there. And as the backup of all backups, we've got Glen Kamara as well, who I think can do a pretty good job, to be honest, if we need him to. He's very well-rounded on tiny, tiny wages. £6,000 a week. He might be the lowest earner in the first team. I mean, he is by almost half. That gives you an idea of how good a deal I think we got for Glen Kamara as a backup. But obviously he covers there. In terms of box-to-box midfielders, we've got Papa Cech and obviously Ndombele, who's the starter there. I mean, maybe we do need another centre mid. Now that I look at it. I don't know if we do. We have Aouar, and we have Lucas Romero, and then we have Papa Cech and Glen Kamara. I think we're okay there. It's just because some of the backup is kind of overlapping quite a lot, I guess. In general, though, I'm very happy with the balance of the first team now. I know we've loaned out a few players who we signed for money last year, but I feel like they are all players who I'm confident are going to develop on loan, or are players who hopefully are going to go up in terms of, I guess, their reputation and their value on the market. And maybe, just maybe, fingers crossed, they can actually develop into, really good players who we can, make money off ultimately. I mean, there is a chance here that we make money as Lyon manager selling players on, but they don't even have to be, players in our first team who we do sell on. You can see here a lot of the players are happy with the treatment of Dembele, which is interesting. You see, one player agrees with Dembele about him being disappointed about not joining Bayern. I'm not sure who the treacherous person is, but 16 players disagree. So I'm happy with my handling of it. I would like to sell Martinez though, and I'm a bit worried we're not going to get rid of him at the rate that we're going. I've just checked the time on today's episode. I've just realised it's gone on for an hour and a half. I feel like I should end things here, but I've got that one more click syndrome. But no, I'm going to wrap things up here. I've completely got lost in the game today and gone on way longer than I expected. But yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. Just a heads up, there will not be an episode of Lyon Live tomorrow. Tomorrow I have the first episode of the Network Game series with Ben, Dr. Benji FM in the 2003-2004 database going up. I hope you guys are looking forward to that. It should be a really, really good video. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. We will be back on Tuesday with Lyon Live. Don't worry, it's not going anywhere. And well, hopefully I will see you guys for both those videos coming up very soon. If you have watched until the end of this video, massive thank you. This is way longer than it ever should be for an episode of this series, so I appreciate you sticking with me through my rambling. If you've got any comments on transfer business stuff we've done so far, I would be curious to hear it down in the comments. And well, other than that, I think I will talk to you guys in a bit. It is me, Jack, and I'm out.